Let me tell you a story. This one is about a concert. It's the biggest show of the year. It is sold out. And you have a backstage pass. You arrive at the venue. There's a line. Security at the entrance. You hand them your ticket. They scan it. They check your ID. Your face matches. Your ticket is real. They let you in. You're inside. You made it. You walk through the crowd, past the general admission area. You head toward the backstage entrance. There's another security guard, another checkpoint. You show them your ticket. I'm already inside, you say. You let me in at the front door. The guard looks at your ticket, looks at you, and then says, I believe you're you, but you're not on this list. Two doors, two different questions. This backstage checkpoint, these two different doors, this is the difference between authentication and authorization. And it is how every secure system decides who gets to do what. Here's what just happened. At the first door, they authenticated you. They asked, who are you? And you responded by showing them a ticket with your name and an ID that matched your face. Authentication complete. At the second door, they authorized you or didn't. They asked, are you allowed here? Not, are you who you say you are, but do you have permission to be at this specific place? Authentication is about identity, proving you are who you claim to be. Authorization, that's about permission, determining what you're allowed to do once we know who you are. Here's what matters. Authentication happens once. You prove who you are at login. But authorization, that happens every single time you try to do something. Every door, every file, every action. Let me show you how this actually works. In every secure system, authentication and authorization are separate processes. Let's break them down. Authentication, proving identity. When you log into a system, you authenticate. You provide credentials, username and password, fingerprint, face ID, two-factor code. The system checks, is this person who they claim to be? If yes, authentication successful. You're in. But you're in doesn't mean you can access everything. Authorization, granting permissions. Now that the system knows who you are, it checks what you are allowed to do. You are logged into your company's network, authenticated. Now you try to open a file. The system asks, is this user authorized to access this file? If your role is engineer and the file is engineering docs, authorized, access granted. But then you try to open executive salary data, same user, same authentication session, different file. The system asks again, is this user authorized to access this file? Your role is engineer. The file requires HR or executive role. Not authorized. Access denied. Your identity didn't change. You're still you, still authenticated, but your permissions are different for different resources. This is how AWS checks if you can launch a server. Google Drive checks if you can edit a document. Your bank checks if you can transfer money. Authentication, once possession. Who are you? Authorization, every single action. Are you allowed? Now, here's why this distinction matters so much. We confuse these two things in everyday life, all the time. For example, you've invited someone to your home. They arrive, knock on your door, you check through the pinhole and you confirm it is them. You let them in because you verified their identity. But does that give them the permission to go to your bedroom? Comb through your personal effects? No. A colleague has the company badge. They can enter the building. But does that mean they can go through your computer, your emails, or access confidential client files? No. The rule is simple. Authentication and authorization are separate questions. Because here's what happens when you confuse them. You give people access they shouldn't have, simply because you know who they are. Just because you can verify someone's identity doesn't mean they should have unlimited permissions. Authentication gets you through the door, but authorization determines which rooms you can enter once you're inside. So remember, they believe you are you, but that doesn't mean you can come in. Two doors, two different questions. That's authentication and authorization. File closed. Next case, the fingerprint never changes.